they won't shoot me down soon.
All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Be Somebody podcast. Today, we're going to do a little Q&A. We have a Q&A segment where you can submit questions to me or Jake on the westkits.com website. You'll see the Ask a Question tab, and you can ask me anything you want. Um, I know more things about strength training and weightlifting and a little bit about nutrition. Those things are more my specialty, but feel free to shoot whatever you want. So here's the first one. This one is well, I guess this is the one. This is the only one I'm doing on this video, so I shouldn't have said the first one. So anyways, this is from Kevin Gonzalez, and it looks like he's an 89 judging by his email. That's a pretty stout weight class. That's kind of like a big little guy. But he's asking about mindset. He said, "You ever have a time in weightlifting when you just weren't progressing as much as you thought you should have?" Um, and then there's more, but we'll just start with that. We'll unpack that a little bit because that's that's very it's very common, and it's not just in weightlifting. It's in strength training. Strength training isn't something that you do and you can just peak and go uphill forever and have the best time of your life. In fact, it's actually kind of more like you get to a level, you work hard and you get to this level where you probably are physically capable, and then you just grind at this level and you just claw your way up. So I guess the first time I really wanted to progress and I was struggling to was in college, and I was one of the weakest bench press guys on the team. And playing tailback, you're expected to be good all around. And just when I was younger, I couldn't press as much as my teammates. And that was just the one lift when I'd go to the gym and do my extra stuff. I'd always just try to work on it, trying to figure out how to get my bench up. Because when we test our maxes, my bench was just so far behind my squat and my clean. And we actually had these like benchmarks for these. They would give us like colored shirts for the weight room. So if you got the black shirt, that means you hit these different marks that showed that you were one of the strongest guys on the team in all three lifts. So basically, I was stuck below my black shirt because I couldn't hit this bench press. So, all off season, anytime I'd hit the gym in between practice or, just any of my extra time, I'd always try to work on getting this bench up. And I think at the time I was doing 4 like extra workouts a week. I'd say maybe 3. I was doing 3 or 4 extra workouts a week, but each time I'd go in and I'd do bench variations. So I would do, I'd start either decline, flat bench, or incline every day, barbell. And then I would work variations of that as well as do like triceps, biceps, core, shoulders. Like I just would kind of mix it up. I didn't do many legs in those sessions just because we did so much through football. I was kind of giving them a break. But anyways, so I was always trying to do some pressing, just trying to get my bench up, and it didn't work. It didn't work at all. I'd go home over the summer, same thing, just trying to get the bench up, and it just wouldn't move. And it wasn't until I just got a little older and a little more mature that it was like it just got easier. And out of nowhere, suddenly I'm just throwing weights on the bench, and I worked my way up pretty good, and I just got unstuck. And I eventually worked up to 405 in the bench before I quit and started doing full-time weightlifting. So that's kind of the first time I got stuck. And I don't know if I necessarily solved the problem myself, but I just kept working on that weakness and trying to fix it and trying to move forward. And I kind of grew into my ability to press better. Um, but in weightlifting, I feel like that's a little different because now we're talking about a skill sport. So you can attack these movements from a lot of different areas. So if you're struggling in the snatch, you can come at it from like a technique perspective. You can come at it from like a maybe you think your overhead positioning's not good or your hips are too tight. Maybe you don't think you're strong enough. So in weightlifting, you have to really think about where you're weak, because if you just do your strengths or you just grind on the snatch to try to snatch more, you're almost guaranteed to hit a roadblock at some point. And I'm actually experiencing that now. I've not hit a snatch PR in a long time, and it is frustrating. And I've had some things that have set me back, but also it's just part of it. You're in a sport where you're not guaranteed to improve. Like there's no promise that your technique's gonna get better, that you're gonna get more comfortable with the bar, or that you're not gonna tweak, an elbow, wrist, or shoulder. So, you have to be smart about how you attack these things. So, I would say if you're in a slump, maybe think about the easier things first. Like think about like working on your technique and improving your movement. That doesn't take a ton of physical energy. It takes more mental energy. So, for instance, again, if you're in the snatch and you're struggling there, set aside 20 minutes to just move a bar around and really work on where you're supposed to be in these movements. Make yourself just a student of other weightlifters, of coaches, and really learn the technique inside and out. And then, if that's not giving you any improvement, maybe now you've got something, more physical you need to think about. Maybe it requires more flexibility through the upper body. It's just like it's hard to pinpoint a single thing in weightlifting, but you just pay attention and try to solve these problems, and know that you don't have to be stuck, and you can get better without necessarily hitting PRs as well. There's different ways to train. There's times you need to do volume versus intensity, but I can promise if you just stay chasing one rep maxes, eventually you are going to run out of adaptation energy, and you're gonna either tweak something or you're just gonna stall out and you're gonna be stuck for a long time. So just make sure you're being creative in your training. Make sure you're utilizing programs and you're looking at coaches and seeing what they're saying and what they're doing, and try to just apply your problems to other problems people have had and solved. Another good example that I struggled with for a long time was I had trouble jerking, especially just early on in weightlifting. When I moved out to California, I'd probably been weightlifting like a year and a half, and um, as you probably know, the jerk is not technically a very hard movement, but it's very heavy and it's over your head, and it's something that you have to just do all the time to be comfortable with. It's something you have to practice and drill, and it's not necessarily something that you can just it's hard to learn with just an empty bar. Like you can learn what to do, but you can't really learn how it feels and how to move. So I had problems there, and essentially what had to happen is I had to go to a meet and get my ass kicked because my jerk was lacking at a competition I could have won, and it kind of lit a fire under my ass to get to work. And one of my strategies to fix my jerk was basically to slow down my warm ups and to take like basically more attempts. So take lighter attempts in the clean and jerk as I'm warming up, and do them multiple times instead of just doing just one and going up to my weight and just progressing as I warm up. I would I'd like hit multiples, or maybe I'd hit the same weight 2, 3, 4 times and just make sure it felt good before I moved up. Because what I figured out is I had to feel good jerks to get better at them. It wasn't something I could just practice with the bar and get better at. I had to learn to feel. And again, there's strength. There's like strength issues in weightlifting. It's easy to get stuck in the back squat and the front squat when you're working on the Olympic lifts. And, sometimes you have to take a step away from the weightlifting and just work on your strength as well. So, I'm not exactly sure what you might be going through, but just know you're not going to be stuck forever, and it does absolutely happen to everybody, not just in weightlifting, but in all sports. And it's going to take a little work, maybe a little rest, and an open mind, and you can work through these things for sure. Let's see. I know there's a part two. Get to that. Um, okay, and he said, and also, did you ever had did you ever have to come over? You ever have to And also, did you ever have to come over any mental hurdles, and how, if so? So I guess I kinda went over that in the jerk. I wouldn't like that one as much mental, I just needed more time. Um, but I mean, every day in weightlifting, you face mental hurdles. The weights get heavy, but your execution has to stay the same. You can't back down from these heavier weights, and it forces you to execute at extremely high levels at weights that you're not gonna be comfortable with, and you have to attack squats and pulls like you're gonna make it. You have to be confident. So, like any of these mental hurdles that you're talking about, all that takes is just a little self positivity, and you have to, believe that you can do these things that you want to do, and you know that you're ready to take these weights that you put on the bar. And I I encourage weightlifters to earn the attempts they take. So don't just throw a PR on the bar because it is a PR, but use your program, work through your cycle, and earn these attempts. Get your body in shape to make these weights, and then do it with confidence and do it with good technique, and do it like you deserve to make it. Don't get lucky one day, because ultimately when you get to the competition, you're not guaranteed to get lucky. In fact, you're going to be lighter than you usually train, you're gonna be hungrier. You're gonna be, under pressure. You've got warm ups timed. You might have like less rest than you normally take. These things aren't guaranteed like they are in training. So really, you need to be stronger than your PR if that's what you want to do at a competition, because you are gonna face more adversities there than you do in the gym. So that's why I encourage people to really, stick to your training, work through it, get better, one day at a time, and earn these PR attempts that you take. And that's going to lead to a healthier, safer career, and honestly better weightlifting on the platform. But yeah, I think, weightlifting is a huge, it's a mental sport, like it's, it's a heavy golf swing. You have to execute these movements with like very few degrees of like mistakes. You can't have big errors on the platform, and you can't lift heavy weights with these errors. So you have to execute perfectly. And the weight itself is pressure. It's literally pressure. So yeah, I mean, this sport's mental, and you have to mentally get over it. That's on you. There's not tricks. It's just train and be prepared and be confident and take the attempts you earn. So that's what I got. That's what I got for you, Mr. Let's see, it was Mr. Gonzalez. Thanks for reaching out. I hope you find this helpful. Hopefully, you help some other people as well. But very good questions, and I appreciate you taking the time. See y'all.